Hi. Conservatives like to talk about Democrats and their supposed habit of spending other people's money, right? But that's all a veiled reference to things like socialism or the idea that, hey, we're taking from productive people and giving to unproductive people. So it's really the whole thing's a denigration. It's a criticism or an attempt to defame a certain group of people. Now, first of all, I don't like labels. I've said that before. I think they're for people who can't think for themselves and they need some kind of short and sweet term that compartmentalizes or describes a certain set of beliefs or a certain set of characteristics. It's just easier for most people. But if you think about it, we all have some amount or another of ideas or beliefs that would depart a little bit or be opposite from our core beliefs. I mean, you might be a fiscal conservative, but you love endless amounts of defense spending. Or maybe you're a liberal, but you believe the false story that Social Security is going to run out of money and therefore you have to cut it or else it's going to go broke. So you see what I mean? Now, before I get into the fallacy of this whole spending other people's money idea, let me first address the false notion that rich people are more productive and work harder, and that's why they're more successful or have more money. That's total bullshit. So, I mean, just as an example, if you look at the Forbes rich list, a little less than half the people on that rich list inherited a sizable chunk of their wealth. It gave them a huge head start. And if you add into that the people whose wealth comes from merely the ownership of assets like stocks, bonds, real estates, where they created nothing, but simply they bought up and they owned a bunch of assets that were already made and built by other people's sweat and hard work, then you're maybe up to 70 or 80% of the rich people on that list. So the creators part of that list, the people who really built something and delivered value to society, people like, Steve Jobs and Jeff Bezos of Amazon, they're just a tiny little small percentage on that list, all right? And even you could talk about people like scientists or doctors that never even make it to that list, and they maybe have come up with inventions that fundamentally changed humankind. What about, Jonas Salk, the guy who invented the polio vaccine? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So this idea that they work so hard and that's why they're rich, that is just a crock of shit. They don't work any harder than some ordinary Joe Schmo who's picking up your garbage or some person at McDonald's who's serving you your hamburger, okay? All right, now what about the spending other people's money thing? That's total bullshit too, because we all know that the spending is, if we're talking about America, it's in dollars, and the government literally prints or creates any amount of dollars that it wants. But a lot of people are not going to understand that. So let's just go with this idea for a second, that it was taken in the form of taxes to fund these programs, from the productive people to the unproductive people. So answer me this. Why are tax receipts as a percentage of GDP, our economy, that has fallen to the lowest level ever over the past 35, 40 years? Okay? So it's just patently not true. Or somebody might say, well, look at our national debt. That has gone up. It's gone from like nothing to 18 trillion. It's a proof that we've borrowed in order to make all those payments, okay? Well, if you're going to talk about debt, you got to talk about assets too. You have to talk about wealth. You have to talk about net worth, assets minus liabilities. And if you take the total debt we have today, 17, 18 trillion, and you look at the total household net worth of 85 trillion, even if you subtract that debt, even if you pay it back, right? Pay it back to who? To ourselves. Even if you took it out, we are way, 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 way above where we were 35, 40 years ago when, maybe we had a smaller national debt, 800 billion, but we had a 9 trillion of household net worth. I mean, we are so far ahead of that. So the point is, We're not spending other people's money. The money has been thrown in there. It's piling up. It gets bigger and bigger and more and more and more. It's mostly going to the very people who are crying that they're having it taken away, okay? The rich. So it's just a crock. It's not true. It's another line, so to speak, of propaganda to make you think that these people are getting the short end of the stick when in fact they're being given everything. So I hope that clarifies that. That's it for now. This is Mike Norman saying see you next time. Bye-bye.